This is Dr. Traci K. Thank you for coming to share your practice with me today. I love you in this place. Welcome back. And if you are already as a subscriber, you are very much appreciated. And I would love it for you to share this message or our channel to all your friends and families or anyone that you feel that might be inspired by our Sunday spiritual vibe messages. And this is my spiritual fitness walk path, so I'm excited to always have these messages go out, and you sharing is caring. You can continue to grow. If you haven't followed us or followed me on social media, on Facebook at Working It Out series, we have amazing groups also. The Spiritual Vibration Challenge group. We have our Invincible Goddess Challenge group, and we have our 21-day weight loss challenge, or 21-day meditation for weight loss challenge going on. And if this is probably already in the first week, so you can learn how to meditate for weight loss. There's so many other challenges, manifesting challenge, and there's a lot of mini courses you can take that are about your elevating your spiritual self and working on your health and wellness. Go check out workingitoutseries.com. Check out free mini courses and enjoy any of those. Check out our free stuff. Free stuff has a lot of things there you can check out, from meditations, candle meditations, education on that, some free readings, and spirituality, health, and wellness. Also, if you want to, check out my books. I have an upcoming book that's called Secrets to Empowered Self-Growth, and there's many others. We have our 12 Fruits of the Spirit program, my book. We have self-growth book. We have manifestation, attraction manifestations. We have being a better version of yourself. There's tons of books out there if you want to do on health and wellness. Or whether it's your relationship, sexuality, health, well-being, fitness, anything that's lifestyle, basically, fitness, lifestyle. And so I want to kind of get going and started because on our Sunday by message. And please join. I just want to give a shout out again to all those who are posting those awesome art therapy and motivational spiritual quotes and personal development, self-growth quotes that are in our groups. They're really awesome. And of course, if you don't know, I would love if you want to partner with my series, I would love to hear from you. We have a donation, and also you can gift certificate. You can do whatever you need to do. We would love to have you partner with me and offer whatever we can in our pick a card reading, sponsorships. That would be really helpful, and it allows us to continue on this series. Today I want to talk about a message here that's been coming to me this last week. I'm actually dealing with surgery on my leg, so I'm healing from that. So I wanted to do this in advance so you guys could have this message while you're going through your meditation challenges or whatever you're doing, or your people who like to listen to this on Sundays. This message is about ordinary days lead to exceptional days. Now, what I want to mean about this is, I bet there's times you feel like you're going in circles. I know, we all do. And you're just not making much progress, right? You keep doing every day the same day over and over again. It's like a routine. It's like repetitive. Going around in circles. And you're always like, well, when is my dream going to come true? When am I going to have this relationship that I want? When am I going to have the love of my life? When am I going to have the family that I desire? When am I going to have the success that I dream of? And the preparations that you need to know is, I just want to explain to you that while you're going in these circles, you're not realizing that this is a preparation. Circles, just like our galaxy, our cosmetic, it, we actually, our solar system galaxy and the dark matter, it goes in circles. Our planet goes in circles. It tilts, it moves, it goes in circles. And even our history sometimes comes back and repetitive, but it's a learning experience. So things in your life that you're doing, you're getting up, you're getting your kids ready, you're feeding your pets, you're feeding yourself, you're taking your shower, you're going to work, you're driving to work, you're doing blah 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 blah, and you're like, oh, I don't like this. It's mundane. It's just something that I don't want to do. I keep having these dreams and these goals. I feel like I'm being anointed for something, or maybe I just don't know yet. When am I going to have this success, or who am I? What am I? Oh universe, oh God, or Jesus, or whoever you call upon, your goddesses or whatever, your higher power. You're asking, well, when am I going to finally have these great, great, great moments in my life where I'm finally reaching my destiny? And I just keep going in these circles, right? I bet you feel like that, don't you? See, it may be routine. You may feel like you are just no closer to your favor than you were years ago. And I want to use a story about that. Maybe you think that you're just not going anywhere. You're just, have these manifestations you've been trying, or these prayers you've been praying. It's just not happening. And you're thinking, I'm getting dizzy here. Will you stop the spinning? But let me tell you something. Those ordinary days are going to lead you to extraordinary days. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if everybody knows, I don't know if you know this movie, but it's called Ghost. And it's got Demi Moore in it and Patrick Swayze. It's an amazing movie, a spiritual, wonderful message movie that is really deep into understanding the way the afterlife, or the way the planes are different in our realm of our level in our life path, in our energy systems, and who we are, or what the unknown is. And a lot of times that's called faith. So when you don't see things, and in this movie, if you remember, Whoopi Goldberg is a psychic, and she's actually kind of a con artist. She's been a lot of different things in her life, so she hasn't found her path, but she's always trying to find that short route to success, or whatever, these quick things, whatever. And she ends up doing this con with her sisters, and she opens up the psychic town. Now this is pretty bad, because psychics get the bad rap for this. I don't like that, because psychics are not always frauds. There are some that are kind of a routine, just like anything out here. When it comes to, if you get counseled by somebody, they could be just simple, or trained by somebody just basic. They're not really fully on that level, but they all have their gifts. So maybe they're not fully formed in their gifts, but she is the same type of person. She goes in this circle of her life that she's doing with these cons, and she finds out that as she's been doing this in her life, right, these circles of life, these cons she's doing, that she's gone nowhere or nothing, she ends up finding out that all along it has been creating her into this amazing gift that's come out of her through this life of hers, of these little repetitious, mundane things that never went anywhere in her life. Correct? So good. And what happens is a bad thing happens in a life of a man who is done always right, and he's about ready to marry this beautiful woman, and they're in love, and he's caught up in a situation where something has come across him in a bad way, in an energy ways. And if you know the movie, but there's a it's a famous scene, and everybody knows this scene because it's a sexy, sexy scene, right? She is an artist, and I'm an artist. Everybody's an artist, in their own way. But like, I love that scene because it's a famous scene, and there's a lot of been memes and spooks on these types of scenes. They're funny, but this scene, she's in that they just had their little romantic, inner spiritual love connection, and she's been inspired to do some art, and she's famous with the what she does is she creates these vases. She's an artist that's in pottery. So she's inspired after her lovemaking with her man, and she goes out in the middle of the night, and she's wearing his, of course, white shirt, and she just sits down in front of her pottery spin, and she gets this big clump of clay, and she slaps it on that pottery spinner. Now, think about this in your own life. Back in times when we all come from this earth, we all, once we leave, we are composited into the earth again. Once our spirit leaves this body, and we are composited into a clay. In the beginning, it's been said that that's how we are formed of clay. We're formed of clay. Our body, our temple, and our spirit is coming in and activating that body in a physical temple to live this path that we've chosen for here on earth. And so the same thing is with the fact is that maybe you feel like that lump of clay that she slapped on, slap. They slap it on there. You feel like you get slapped sometimes, right? So, and then you've got this water on you, right? Oh, water, and you feel like you're drowning, and you're just like, oh, if you think about it, if you were that lump of clay, and you're spinning and you're spinning and you're spinning your go, and you had no choice as that clay. You didn't choose to go to that clay, but all of a sudden you're just put on this clay, right? You just slapped on this thing, and you're spinning out of control, and you're like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. Please, why do I have to do this? I don't understand. This is not where I want to be. This is not what I want to do, and I can't stand this. There's got to be something better here. But the clay doesn't realize that there's this beautiful lady with her hands on you, and she's forming you and lifting you up higher and higher and higher, and transforming you into this amazing, what would be the most beautiful thing in the world. And it hardens, and it has color, and it expands on these colors and auras and light, and it brings so much beauty into the world, and is actually valued when she sells it to something, or it sits somewhere in a monetary level. That's a blessing of prosperity and abundance, right? Think about that. So good, right? And now, granted, if you look into this, he comes in and he comes behind her, right, and helps her. So you got him and her helping this. Now, if you notice the part of the scene that actually what she's got it all raising up really high, doesn't she? And then he comes in, and all of a sudden distracts her, and it flops back down again. And I'm sure that's how you feel in your life sometimes when you're spinning around, whether it's in your relationship. Well, when is my marriage going to be better? When is, why is my husband so mean? He hates God, or he hates spiritual. We're not on the same path. When are you going to change his heart? When are you going to change her? But see, that's the thing. But then what happens is she goes back, and later it becomes this amazing, huge, beautiful vase, and it's just admired and just looked at like, oh, and that's what's going on in your life. See, what happens when you're spinning these circles? This is what's going on. See, success is a series of small things. I have that actual blessing candle in my office table. And I look at that and I think, okay, success is a serious one. And it's true. It's so true. Because let me think about it. We think, oh, well, Dr. Traci K, when I get that great thing, then I'll work really hard. I'll be the best of the best of the best of the best. But that's not what that's not what the thing is. See, the practice is doing what you do, enjoying what you do with a smile on your face, bringing that pleasure in your everyday monetary type of mundane routine, and staying in faith. See, that's the whole key. They want to know if you're going to be able to be able to handle that. Now you think, well, I know I'm anointed. For example, I'll give you a story. I think we talked about this character that's in the Bible last week when it came to blessed by your enemy. So I'm going to go use that again. I'll give you some other stories. If you remember, everybody knows David. David, I'm sure, in Christianity, the Bible. David was anointed. And yet he was anointed to be a king. So what happened was he never saw that. In fact, he wasn't at all. In fact, nobody knew the heck who he was. He was nobody. He was weak, little, minding, whatever. Ran his mouth off a little bit, a lot of times, talked like whatever, and just never really did what he was wanting. His brothers, on the other hand, were always given a bigger responsibility, and they had more political correction on communication, and got to be a lot of part of bigger things all the time. But he was given the responsibility as a shepherd boy to watch the flock. Now, he knew, he felt that spirit in him that revved him up all the time. And he would talk about it. He was like, oh, and he would, want to be where they are. I want to be on the line of the battle. I want to be there. Because I know I was told, message to me by a higher power, or what in the Bible calls with God, the Lord, said, you will be king. I am anointed. You are anointed. And anointing is what rose him up in the spirit. He was always vibrant in a sense. Had that energy, real high-spirited type of person. Now, but yet, believe it or not, it didn't happen when he was told that. In fact, it was years and years and years and years down the road before he actually became king. See, that's got to be frustrating. Don't you ever feel like that in your life? I know I do. Everybody does, right? So good. Claim it. Where you look around and you're thinking, well, why don't I have this big mansion? I mean, this minister has a $10 million mansion. Why didn't I get the payment protection plan for my small business? This guy was given a huge amount. Why am I not driving this fancy car? Why does it make no sense? See, that's the thing is, there are a lot of heroes of success. You can read about them. You can see them in your news every day. You hear about them all the time. It's just annoying, correct? You hear about those certain people like from reality shows or in the news or music industry or even your ministry type of industry. Any industry, education. There's always going to be those heroes of success, and there's those also from the past in the history. Your history books and your Bibles and your from your spirituality, your personal development coaches, your heroes of those. But let me tell you something. Those great times, those great days they had, and they will tell you, just ask them, was only just a few days. See, the rest of the time, it was a routine. Going in circles, doing their thing every single day. And it's back to that. So do you understand? Let me tell you something right now. So go ahead and claim this. You have to be patient. Because you may feel like you are just repeating things over and over and over again and hoping for a different result, bringing you to insanity. But let me tell you something. that right there is building your character. It's making your spiritual muscles stronger. You are being prepared. And so the higher power wants you to see if you can handle that. So when it is that time, you will not just be anointed. You are anointed for this, but you will be able to take it. You will be thrust forward into that position because that is what it's meant to be. And all you have to do is stay in faith, stay committed, stay in spirit, and find ways that will be beneficial to you, enjoyable, so that it's not so mundane, and build and prepare. Because maybe this routine you may feel like you're never going to be closer, but like David, anointed, he didn't just get it when he was told he was going to get it. He had to wait. He had to do it. He had to be a shepherd. He had to put the flocks. He had to do what he had to do to prepare. And then when it was time, it was given to him. He took it. Just like that. Patience is the key. Practicing your spirit. Finding those days to yourself so you can re-energize your spirit to say, okay, I know that I will be there. This is just me building my spiritual muscles. Now let me give you another story. I like this. I'm going to give you something in a present tense. I'm going to give you something from my own experience. I was sponsored by the Army for almost 15 to 20 years, and yet I was not an active duty soldier. Granted, before then, I also worked, as my whole family did. My whole family's kind of been a military family. I didn't ever hear that military brat, but worked for the government. You don't know that. So in a civilian sense. Now, a lot of times in things with, people think, oh, soldiers are the But believe it or not, they would never have these soldiers if it wasn't for people that prepared them to be or train them. And they're not always soldiers all the time. They're mostly in a civilian sense. So like me, I'm a civilian veteran. But there are a lot of systems in place and codes where you can't achieve certain benefits unless you're, given these points or so forth. And if something happens to where there's not enough funding, then, your unit or your sponsorship can lose it. Just like anything with sports, with you're an athlete. And so something can happen. And that sponsor be let if something goes on. It's the same way in ministry. It's the same way. It's in life with your health and your well-being, your wellness, with your health. I myself, I could change. My body was the easiest thing to do. I mean, I used to have this high metabolism, super high metabolism. People would call me a weed, and they said they ordained me and said, you will be a model, you will be this, you will. In fact, it was already granted and prophesied to me that I would actually be on TV. And I remember this time, and I was brought to this church. And I grew up in church, and I studied in church, and I did all that, and even my colleges and stuff. And a lot of times I would just fight that because I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And things like my mother would do, she would push me into something. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I really didn't like people. I was scared of them, but she would push me and put me in and prepare me with these little things she would make me do in my life in order for me to be prepared. So, I would be ready for it. And these little things I would do in school, she would put me in throughout my life, even starting when I was 2. Set me up, prepared me for those things. And that's the same way when it comes to what things you're going to like. Now, I felt like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. I don't like doing this. But it prepared me. So, because I was so shy and so scared, and I had this sensitive energy, and it prepared me to actually be a very confident person. I ended up on stage, like, I don't want to be on stage. I didn't want to. I was like, don't want to. I'd rather be in the back. I'd rather be, I'm just more of a behind the scene type person. That's the way I always was growing up. I felt like that. But I was always having these things thrusting me forward, including friends that I had in my life, been on playground and girls that I would bring into my life, and they would show me that, you are a leader. You will be a leader. You're a leader of this group. You're the leader. And I said, and I never thought of it like that, And then so things would happen. Something would happen. And as a group and leadership, way I would do it, we could overcome that. And it was a test and a preparation, just like anything when you're a kid, anything in your life, maybe in your job. So back to what I was saying in regards to Army, I never thought, I said, no, I was told in messaging, no, you don't want to go through this. And I thought, well, you're probably right. And yet I made a choice without, even though the higher power was telling me not to make this shit, that's not the right decision to make. And I said, yeah, but I don't know why. I just felt like I should. There's something I needed to do. Plus, at the time, it was such a bad economy, there was opportunities of college to me, and I wouldn't have to actually be like a soldier because I didn't my medical and stuff. So, but I was like, okay, there's an opportunity here. Well, I was getting this message like constantly, no, don't do it, no, there's better, and that's true. There was something better, and I decided not to listen to it. And I went the other way. And I found out that I should have probably listed on it because then it would have been a better opportunity, but I could have had the same path. I just didn't realize it. But I learned from that, and we all do. We do that because there are forks in the road, and you have to realize, okay, please, you need to help to make this straight. And that's a part of where, yes, it could be your setback, but your setbacks are actually your setups, like I talked about last week. Where, yes, these people have been put in place, okay, you made that decision, you have to choose it, but you can overcome it, and it actually turned me around into a different direction to where I wanted to go, and that's why, I found this is my whole calling here eventually. It took longer and longer, and I had to go through trials and tribulations in my health and wellness, too, in my financial and my prosperity, and yes, that was a disappointment, and it was a circle, but when I was given this opportunity, when I finally was free, I was given an opportunity to actually experience what it was like, the spiritual warfare that we go through. And we've been going through for decades and decades, that we're helping because that's God's war over there. And so when I finally got the chance, I was so scared. And it was so weird because it's like the whole leading up to it. To actually be able to go and do something and feel like I'm part of something over there, when I'm actually just over here, and there's this your own warfare over here in our own states, and we don't even realize it. But over there, see, nobody knew me, nobody paid attention, nobody looks at you, and so maybe you feel like that. Okay, you're always hidden. Nobody sees me. Maybe you don't have that 2.8 million subscribers on YouTube or your Facebook or Instagram, but don't let that discourage you. Yes, why don't they hear me? I'm being called to this? I feel anointed. I'm messaged. Why am I not heard? Why is it this COVID happen? And yet I'm being pushed to be behind and safe-wise, but yet other people out there still taking risk in this COVID, and they're doing their life and do whatever. But that's, their choice. There's a reason for that. And so, for example, when I went over there, then going back to the story, I was finally, and it wasn't that they would just let me over there, because they said, we don't usually do this, but we see this in you, this anointing, and we want you to come over there because you do a lot for soldiers. They would have me right before the soldiers would go. They're put in this type of facility, and it's not very warm. Some of the times, it depends on the unit. Some units have more money. They get a little bit more of a lounge type area to hang. And they're sitting there and waiting. They're getting ready to go to war. But they're waiting and waiting for hours and hours and hours before they're actually picked up to go over there. And so that's a real scary time. And they're sitting there with their guns, and they can't leave those. Those guns are like their arms. They lose those guns, they're losing life in general. That's a big thing. That becomes their pacifier. And here they are trying to mindfully prepare and spiritually prepare. They're already physically there. That's why they're going. But mindfully and spiritually, they're not ready, and they don't know what they're dealing with because they've been called to go over there. And so when I was given this honor to actually, and several times I've done this with them, and I got to sit with them. I'm not going over there, but I got to sit with them and I got to experience what they're going through as they sit. And it's just the weirdest experience. And each unit is different. It depends. Like some of them, they would pace outside. Others would just kind of hide in a little facility lounge area. Others that they were put in actual type of storage unit, and there was no seating. It was just they sat on the floor and waited. And these soldiers were just drawn to me and felt like I kept them calm. And there were some of them that cried to me and wrote to me later. And it just was an honor. And I would see things because a lot of times, some of these units didn't get a lot of funding. Others had a lot of funding. So and then, they raise money. It's just typical job, just like anything. When you do in your work, you might raise money for something to help you, funding, or maybe you're lacking. It's just like any job, any business, any career. It's the same way in the military. Each unit has their unit, and they're responsible for certain things on their jobs, and that funding's important, or else they won't get the equipment they need, or the training they need, or the facility they need, or the place, in order to be able to do their job. And that was the same way with these soldiers. They would hire me to get retrained or physically prepared or mentally prepared because they were hoping to keep their job or get transferred out of what they didn't like and get into a better position. And that was kind of the sense here. But they, a lot of times, one of those things that they chose is to go over to war. And it was extra money. It would help them. And plus, it would also maybe get them out of in a better position because they thought, well, I have an anointed. I'm in this terrible unit. I don't want to be here. And so they go to somebody like me and say, well, I want to seek something better. I need to prepare for that because I have to pass these tests. And I'm tired. I've been going in circle and circle, and it's terrible. I hate this unit. I hate where I'm at. And I'm like, you're prepared. You're being patient. And you need to work on your spiritual muscles, not just your physical muscles, which is sometimes what they hire me for because they needed to go and pass these tests physically. And then we get to the point where they just get so frustrated and angry, and they're like, well, that's part of it. Just like anything when you're working on your body, when you're working in the gym, you see this muscle, right? You see your stomach. Ugh, it's not flat. It's not. What am I going to get it? Or why am I not losing this weight? What's wrong with me? And you keep going in these circles, like your diet and your weight loss and stuff, and it's just nothing's happening, and it comes back and it falls back down again like that clump of clay. And, you go to somebody that trains you and lifts you up, anoints you and builds you and shapes you. Well, same thing with me. I dealt with the same thing. And you deal with that in your life transitioning. That's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean you have to accept it, because if you keep practicing it and learning where you're at, you will find the answer. All you have to do is ask, just like in Matthew 7, you've got to use those manifestations, work on those manifestations. If you get more and better, because once you work those spiritual muscles and you're practicing, just like masters do over there, the monks that are so amazing. You can imagine how patient they are in a retreat, a spiritual retreat. I got to experience spiritual retreat and help out with the spiritual retreat. And what they do? It's a beautiful place, private, spiritual. The energy is amazing, and you're in bunk beds and you share, and it's routine. You get up and you go and you pray, and you meditate. I've been a couple of them. I've been to Christianity type, Catholic type retreats and spiritual retreats. So, and I've been to yoga type retreats. So it's like, and I've also been to like bodybuilding type retreats. I've been to a lot of different ones. Camps, they call them camps, and then the other ones are retreats. So basically what I'm saying is, it's a schedule. You get up, you meditate. Oh, monks over there, they get up and they meditate, pray, whatever they do, chant for like 6 hours. 6 hours. And then they eat, and then they do their work, and then they go back to chanting and meditate again. And they do the work, it's come back over and over again. And yet, it's amazing the same way in your life. Think about that in your own life. Because you are anointed to do something, you will get there. Don't be discouraged. It's frustrating. You can get angry. You're human. But come back to understand that you are going somewhere. Yes, you're going in circles, but there is something invisible that you can't see that's molding you into this beautiful shape, whether it's in your spiritual life, your financial life, your relationships, your health, or your physical. Think about that. Now, when I finally got to go over there, I mean, once I got to experience, I actually was invited over there. And they made sure that I was well protected. From escorted from the States, escorted to this amazing plane. Very nice, comforting. But even they had people there with me on the plane, making sure I was safe. And when I got there, they had 3 or 4 or 5 soldiers that greeted me, make sure I was passed through and okay through that country, with everything. And I remember during this time, I'm just going to skip, where I noticed when I went to a certain area, the other areas were more like on base type stuff, but I couldn't believe how recognized I was. And it was just weird because I was so celebrated over there. I was recognized so much, and it was overwhelming. And it was one of those exceptional types of days, which actually my exceptional days led to weeks. And the blessings I was given, the honor I was given, the love and the smiles and the generosity and the uplifting and the thankfulness of me. And also here I am having these exceptional days, which was absolutely wild. But I never get that in my own country. And I was like, what's weird? I'm invisible. Maybe you feel like you're invisible. Maybe you feel like you're hidden. Maybe you don't know when that time is. But let me tell you something. Don't let that discourage you, because you will stick to your plan. Practice every day, because you are exceptional and you will be thrust into exceptional. And let me explain to you, I'm going to tell you something that goes back to a time where I'll use a history book, I'll use for spirituality, I used a story in the Bible again. There was a guy named Joshua, and he led an army. Now, this reminds me of this because it reminded me of something that happened to me over there myself. Well, okay, Israelites were trying to get and conquer this city, this town, but this city was built so well protected, had all these really big, strong walls around it. And I noticed, like, when I was over there, it was the same way. Now, and it's the same a lot of times over here, too. Now, before 9/11, it wasn't like that. After 9/11, they kept building walls around everything and security. So, when I went over there, it's the same thing. I had to go through all these security protocols and then these walls, right? And it was scary. But once I was inside those walls, which, they wouldn't let me in those walls. There's no way anybody's getting in over those walls. And before you even deal with those walls, you got to deal with all this high security protocol. And I'm sure you know that in these states too. But once I had that invisible protection and force molding me that, I went through those with no problem. I was just passed on through. Go on. Welcome. Where nobody else would never get through that. And then I hit the walls, and the walls, yes, were looked at again, but then the gates and the walls open up to me, and I'm inside. Now, Joshua, in the biblical times, there's no way they were going to let his army into that city. The walls were so big, there's no way. And so what happened was, God, the Lord, or the higher power, whatever you call it, during that time, was called, and they go, how are we going to get in this and conquer the city, take over this? But yet, I know we're anointed. We were brought here for a reason. That's the war. We're trying to conquer the city. So, there's no way they're going to go through those walls. And they tried. They went straight forward, when they tried to strategize, or they tried to con a little soldier, or distract another one. It didn't work. There's no way they were going to get through that. So what the message of Joshua, God was telling me, you know what? Quit trying to do all these little things like that. I want you to do something here. I don't want your army to make noise. I don't want your army to scream and yell. I don't want you to try to pull these little distractions, try to contemplate or beat the thing, head forward, ram it, whatever. I want you to do this. I want you to walk in a circle around the city. And Joshua's like, what? Okay, that's about stupid, right? What an idiot. That's dumb. Okay, somehow something's wrong with my head here. Why would I walk in a circle? That's dumb. We could slam through it or throw arrow. But nothing's working, right? Okay, then. I'll do this dumb thing here. So he takes his army, not yelling or screaming, not throwing fire, not throwing stones, not ramming it. They walked around the city. And so they walked around the city and they said, okay, now what? And God's like, go it again. And he's like, okay. Now, he didn't argue, and he did it again. So they walked again. Let me tell you something. It got to the point where Joshua was like, all right, I'm about ready to tell you off here. This is wasting my time. And God was like, I need you to keep walking around the city. And so Joshua ended up, him and his army, not making a sound, not trying to con nobody, not ramming the walls, not throwing stones, not doing whatever, just walking around the city. You know, they did this for like, I don't know about the way the days were, but they did it for days. They just walked around the city. It's like, okay, we're doing some exercise in here, we're exercising the animals, taking a break, then doing it again. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, as Joshua's army was walking around at this seventh day, I think it was a whole week or so, based on our days, and something started shaking, and all of a sudden, these walls around the city fell. And they just didn't fall and crumple and make a mess, because you think about it, okay, well, yeah, they're falling, okay, but how in the world are they still going to get over that rubble? And were they injured or anything? Well, no, those walls didn't just crumble. They fell in a geometrically patterned shape to where one fell over the other and held, and it made it look, and it was a ramp. So they didn't have to go through the rubble and stuff, and they just walked up the ramp. They were given an actual ramp to go in and take the city. So it's the same thing. Like I noticed, like with these walls that I was over there, the same thing. But say if you wanted to get out, they had all these electrical fences. And it would shock you. It would have these little metal fences in there. And so I remember one night I was like over there and I said, I'm going to try to get out of here. You can't get out of here. There's no way. There's no possible. But if I willed it enough to think, and all of a sudden that electrical gate, when I touched it, it didn't electrify me. In fact, it spun and allowed me to come out. And these guys were like, these soldiers were like, what? How in the world did you do that? I didn't climb over. I was let out. And then if I wanted to come back in, I'm like, well, you can't come back in now. How are you going to get back in? You're going to have to go all the way to the front and go through all those securities. You don't even have your ID or nothing. You're in big trouble. You dumb. Now, granted, I had a little bit of wine and stuff, so I was a little goofy anyways. And so they were laughing. And you can't climb over. What are you going to do? And I said, I'll just go back the same way it came. And they go, you can't. And they actually look, and they grabbed it, and it shocked them, and it wouldn't move. And they were like, holy crap. And, they were drinking some beer too, so we were all stupid and goofy. And so anyways, I said, okay, and I just thought, I don't know what was going on. And I pushed it again. It didn't shock me and let me back in. So do you understand my point? When it comes to your life, yes, you might be going in circles, but there's something happening here for you. And I guarantee you that these ordinary days it will lead you and prepares you for extraordinary days. So just because you see that person being talked about in the news or in the reality shows or entertainment, or you see their 2.8 million subscribers or whatever, maybe, you're only talking to 92. Keep doing what you're doing. Because if you know you're anointed, do it, just keep doing it. Because you will be thrust forward. You will be given. You will be passed through. You will be escorted. You will be thrust. You will be given someone in your life anointed that will put you where you're supposed to be. And I'll give you another example. Check Moses out. Moses, yes, he was a hero of success in the Bible. But you know what? Yeah, he did that thing with the Pharaoh, and everybody remembers that, with the snakes and all of that wild supernatural stuff. But that was only a few days. The rest of the days, he had mundane days, because he was nothing. In fact, he was supposed to be killed. Back before, when he was a baby, Pharaoh had a message spiritually from his wizard or his muse or his sorcerer, saying that there's a message here, you better kill something. So he went out and sent a message to kill every newborn child, firstborn. So his mother, Moses, who was a poor person, nobody, nothing, hidden, nobody. She hid her baby, Moses, for months and months and months. Never brought him out, never took him outside, nothing. And when it came time, she put him into the river, down the Nile, and blessed him. And what happened was, this high priestess in the royal family, a daughter of a pharaoh, was bathing in that water and came across this noise, and it was this baby in this basket. She took that baby and she brought him into this high royalty honor society, raised him as her own son. So granted, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Maybe you'll get that. Maybe that's for you. Someone's going to come to you, and I guarantee you, believe in it. I want you to breathe that in so good, and now say, yes, I am anointed, and I believe in that. I have faith in it. I am manifesting it. I'm committed to it. That I will be thrust into this position for extraordinary days. And I'm blessed and grateful for everything that I have now, that I'm anointed, and I'm blessed. So thank you and grateful for everything I have and everything I'm doing. And I will, please give me the strength, give me the joy to keep that going, to do my part. And I know that the time will come, and I tell you to bring your hands to your heart center, lift your head up to your forehead, breathe that in, and I want you to now bow to claim it. All right, thank you guys. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on the next Sunday Vibe message.